The government says it should end by 5 o'clock. The organizers say they do not know when they will end. Now, what is the history of this Saba Saba? With me this morning, I have the privilege of talking to somebody who was a former MP for Runyenjes. He's supposed to be Honorable Jero Kathango, but he doesn't like being called Honorable. He is Mutumishi, the servant. Welcome.
Thank you,
Jero Kathango.
Thank you, Mutegi.
Tell us about yourself. A lot of young people do not know you. You have been out of limelight for a number of years. Talk about yourself, why, so that you can say why, justify why you are here.
Yeah, Mtumishi Njeru Kathango. First of all, the word Mtumishi simply means that I respect that constituents who elected me of Runyenjes were my boss, because they were my paymasters. And therefore, I could not have been honorable more than they were. So I called myself Mtumishi. My history is very small, very, very small indeed. I started with Mzee Jomo Kenyatta. After the assassination of J.M. Kariuki, he put me in prison. I walked out of prison after Jomo Kenyatta and died. After that, I came out here in 1980, 1 year after there was an attempted coup. And because I worked with the Kenya Air Force sometimes back, then the government thought, some of them, special branch, that I had been involved. I wasn't involved, but of course, it wasn't very bad to be associated with the Kenya Air Force. After all, I was a Kenya Air Force man before. So they came, arrested me, put me in for a few weeks, and found that I was innocent. So they released me. And in 1983, I went to Britain. I stayed in Britain up to 1987. I came back here and decided that that time, because it was Mwakenya business, Moi had gone to the universities, arrested lecturers, put them in prison and in detentions because of Mwakenya. And I sympathize with them because we needed a strong student movement, a strong scholarly movement, and therefore I sympathize with them and supported them. And unfortunately, I was not arrested with them and waited for them. And in 1988, we started another push for the reintroduction of multi-party politics or multi-party state. And so in 1988, we faked names, and I was elected in Kanu as one of the officials in Embu, and the government discovered that I had been elected when I was already fighting to be the divisional chair. And that is the time they said, no, we cannot have Kathango going to the district chairmanship. But Kamwithi Munyi then, a good friend of mine and my neighbor, protected me by campaigning around the DC and the PC, and we maintained it. We started fighting for the multipartyism from within KANU, something that Elijah Mwangari, Jeremiah Nyaga, my brother Keano, and Daniel Moi did not like. So they started fighting me again, and very soon things started happening.
Why is this day called Saba Saba? And
Saba
which day
Saba.
was it?
The day is called Saba Saba because in 1988, Stanley Njindo Matiba was disappointed by his friend Daniel Moi, who fought to have him defeated in Kiharu or in Mbiri that time. And so he kind of joined our ranks to fight for democratization. And then at the same time, Simeon Nyachai was also disappointed in the office of the president and called a few names. And that time, you may remember that he went out of his way to buy advertisers' pages of both the Standard and the Nation to clear his name and to kind of accuse government of things that they were doing. These two gentlemen kind of jump-started feelings of the people that something was wrong in government. And so, while we were, some of us in KANU, then we decided to kind of hype the public about why the country must achieve some changes. And so, Kenneth Matiba, myself, John Janyona, started serious discussions.
And Charles Rupia?
Charles Rupia came later.
He came later. Okay.
Charles Rupia came later. So that now by 1989, the formation was John Janyon and Jero Kathangu, and then Edward Oyugi Ngodo Kariuki. This is the way they were coming in.
Yeah.
And then Kenneth Matiba. And Kenneth Matiba was introduced to us by a young man who was his personal aide then, but has already died, called Bacha from Muranga also.
I know Bacha.
You know
I knew
Bacha.
Anyway.
Yeah, Bacha, Bacha died. He is the
Naina
one
Bacha.
that came. Naina Bacha.
Yeah.
And we discussed with Ken, and Ken decided, yes, to join the very active bit of it. And so he went out and recruited Charles Rubia, and Charles Rubia also brought in a few others. And I think it is important that the people that have not been mentioned in public for all these years should not be mentioned, because maybe they have chosen not to. And so this group started working with us, and by December 1989, things had worked very well, because the Iron Curtain of the Eastern Europe, had already fallen, and so the Berlin Wall had fallen, and so there was a need to have this country start debating loudly about what kind of changes we were going to achieve, and how the changes taking place in Eastern Europe were going to be motivation for our people. And so we met Okulu, Bishop Okulu, and Bishop Okulu decided that he was going to use that the 1st of December 1989, welcoming the new year 1990, to announce to the Kenyan public and the congregations that it is important that Kenyans wake up to what was happening then and support changes in line with the wind blowing from the north to the south. That is from Europe to Africa. And so that is what we did. And then we decided also that we were going to announce a new party, political party, called the Kenya National Congress, which we were going to prepare its documents so that by the 1st of June 1990, we would announce the formation of the party. Fortunately or unfortunately, Kenneth Matiba and Charles Rubia, excited about how the people were receiving our messages, started having meetings also in College House and elsewhere with other people, business executives.
College House was headquarters of Mr. Matiba's company.
Yes, College House was his headquarters.
Yeah.
So you would bring people there, and they would discuss. In the meantime, John Janyona and myself were meeting elsewhere. You know, sometimes even in Jamhuri Park, because the government was following up our activities so much. And so, on February 13th, when we discovered that Robert Ouko had been killed, then we actually decided that we didn't have to meet underground. Let us come overboard and talk about how the government must stop assassinations and further oppression of the people. And so Kenneth Matiba kind of stepped on the side and announced Saba Saba. We didn't want to quarrel about it, that there was 1st of June and there was Saba Saba. 1st of June was to announce the formation of the political party. Saba Saba was supposed to be the culmination of our struggle from 1988 to now, 1990. And so we said, instead of quarreling, let us go around the Saba Saba, let us campaign around Saba Saba, let us push for the meeting to be held on Saba Saba Day and have coordinators from all over the place. And I took the coordination department, and we identified people in Mombasa, identified people in Kisumu, identified people in Meru, identified people in Nanyuki and Nyahururu, people who would be coming from up country, and asked some of the transport companies to assist us bring the people. And they agreed. Kenyan people are very generous, my brother. When they think that things must be done and done correctly, they will come out to support you. So we said Saba Saba is the name that we were going to adopt because of the siku ya mapinduzi Tanzania. Because as a regional movement, then we thought Saba Saba would be one appreciating the struggles of Julius Nyerere in Tanzania, but at the same time, we would be recognizing that the day was a day of sacred offering, where people are offering their liberties, their freedoms, to be able to campaign for the democratization of our republic. And so that is how Saba Saba came about, and that is why the name was taken, because we were adopting the name from Tanzania.
Was the rally held?
Yes, the rally was held. The rally was held. We hired an office that I manned, in one of the houses next to Kamukunji. We achieved or acquired about three very strong binoculars, which we mounted in these offices to be able to coordinate Kamukunji, to be able to see it, to be able to know what it is was happening. We had another office in town that was also coordinating with the rest of the country. And by the 4th of July, because of the increased activities around Kenneth Matiba, Paul Mwite, who was his lawyer then, and Charles Rubia, and later on, a few days just before 4th, then Raila Odinga and also joined. And he joined because John Janyona and myself visited Oginga Odinga, and we asked him at home Uhuru, we asked him whether he could come.
He used to live in Jerusalem.
Jerusalem,
He used to live in Jerusalem. Yeah.
And whether he could join, and he said that he thought that he had a group of young people that could be able to do it, because he was convinced we were going to be arrested. After the arrest, then he could come and start campaigning for our release, something like this. Yeah. And so he recommended, let Raila Odinga be the man to join you. You will be coming to brief me about these things. So when Raila came, he went to Kenneth Matiba's side, and we thought it was very good also, because after all, that was still joining us. Mm. So slightly before the 4th of July, he had joined the camp. And so on the 4th, the 3 of them were arrested. Raila Odinga, Kenneth Matiba, and Charles Rubia. Mm. And something happened. I think it was Haminwa, following Kenneth Matiba in Nairobi area police station, was also arrested.
And detained also.
Yeah, and he was detained.
Yeah.
Then we were left, and we coordinated the Saba Saba, so that we had said the meeting would start at 12. It did not start at 12 because the police were too many around. So what we did was to introduce a boys' football club, na hii mipira ya makaratasi, to go into Kamukunji and start playing football. At the football team, we had somebody who has also died called Kariuki Gadito. Mm-hmm. Gadito from Eldoret. He had also been detained in the 80s. So that is the man that coordinated the field, while Ngodwa Kariuki, myself, and John Janyona coordinated the country. And so by about 12:30, 1 o'clock, we had already accumulated more than 1,000 people around Kamukunji. By about 2 o'clock, there was about 15,000 people in Kamukunji. Although the meeting was not addressed by anybody, but Gadito had given a few words before the police disrupted. And so
there was that famous pickup which carried Martin Shkuku.
Yes, the pickup was not used on the Saba Saba.
No.
And that is the problem that we have in this country. Yeah. That on Saba Saba Day, okay, let's say this. We had 2 days during the time 1990-1992. And Saba Saba was the first day. Yeah. When we were arrested ourselves on the 11th. After the Saba Saba, 4 days later, we were arrested and put in. And then we stayed in prison through 1990-91. But in the meantime, Jaramogi Oginga Odinga recruited about 5 other mzees. And they started pushing for the registration of a party called the National Democratic Party. Mm-hmm. And Wako and Omondi Bago refused to register the party by around October 1990 and 1991. So Jaramogi called for the public rally to be held in Kamukunji on the 16th of November, that to ask the people about what they thought about the introduction of multi-party politics. Now, then Daniel Moi arrested all of them and brought them to their villages. You know, Jaramogi was sent to Mbondo, Kitopu Imanyara was sent to Meru, Mwite was driven, I think, to Gikuyu and so forth and so forth. Masinde Muriro was brought to Ebuya, or something like this. And so
they were detained at home.
They were detained at home.
They could not leave home.
They were actually brought to the courts in the villages. You know? Yeah. Then those who remained and were not arrested included people like Martin Shikuku, James Orengo, and others. And these are the people on the 16th trying to enter the Kamukonji and on a pickup that had been given by one of the Gikuyu businessmen in this city. And again, because it has never come out, it is not right for me to mention. But wherever he is, we must say thank you very much, you contributed. But now, these two groups, the Saba Saba group and the 16th of November 1991 group, have kind of, through the years, not really agreed about which was the day for the multi-party struggle. Was it Saba Saba or was it 16th of November? According to Orengo, who is going to be in the meeting today, and a man that I respected quite much, he and myself started the Muungano wa Mageuzi in the year 2000, 2001, 2002. You know, he will appreciate that some of them have really never talked about Saba Saba. From 1990, they are talking about Saba Saba now. You know, it really interests me. Interests me in the sense that I am very happy that there is a group that recognizes Saba Saba. I welcome them open hand that I think Saba Saba was a very sacred day. I also want to say that history should not be separated the way I have seen it separated. In the sense that there is Saba Saba, then somebody waits for 2 years, starts something called the 16th of November, and kind of abuses the Saba Saba and so forth. But through the years, then something happens that makes them come back to the same day. So while I agree, Mutegi, while I agree it is good effort, but I think it is good to appreciate the struggles of everybody. You know, Kenneth Matiba, Stanley Njindo, myself, John Chanyona, did it on Saba Saba Day. And you cannot dismiss the Saba Saba simply because you are not centrally involved. You know, we welcome them, and we are saying this. Let us make the agenda for this day a sacred day. Let Saba Saba be commemorative, and let Saba Saba be an evaluation day where we are going to be looking at what we demanded in 1990, whether or not it has been achieved. And it is the honors of those that are organizing it to say that the government has not given A, given B, and we appreciate A, and please can we now get B? You know, but otherwise, if you're going to make the day appear to be a new one, for example, the youth did not know what Saba Saba is. Most of the youth, they think Saba Saba means a war between CORD and Jubilee. You know, that today it is pangas and bullets and stones and no. That is not the way it is. That we are celebrating 25 years of Saba Saba. That Raila and Orengo should have said, we are celebrating 25 years of Saba Saba. And on this day, on this Silver Jubilee, we would like the government to give what it has not given. We would like us as a nation to debate A so that we see where our country is. Bas. And that would be admissible.
So what are the similarities of that day and today? Are there any commonalities of what is happening today and what happened in 1990?
First of all, I must say that the state has always got a grievance. There is no state that is in heaven. You know, every state has a grievance.
There is no utopia.
There is no utopia. You know, and therefore, the people will be looking for something new from the state, some fulfillment, some comfort, and therefore, what they are demanding is okay. But the difference is that 1990 was the originating Saba Saba. 2014 is a commemorating Saba Saba. You know, meaning that we are looking through the 25 years to see what it is that we have achieved and not achieved, and then start struggling as a people, as a society, because we haven't reached yet, and see what it is that we can be able to achieve as a state. 3 things that we were fighting for. 4 things we were fighting for those days. We were fighting for the reformation of the Constitution.
Yeah.
We were fighting for the land question, that we thought there should be a conference that should be held to discuss land issues. The third thing was to look at our youth. What is it that they needed? Good education, good jobs, because they needed to grow our economy and even grow our technology and science. And number 4 was about our economy. Our economy was in very few hands, and people continued to whip the coffers of the nation and send it and distribute it to a few individuals.
I thought there was a thing that to do with multipartism.
No. When we were talking about the economy, we were saying that people are walking into the central bank, come out with money in lorries and in briefcases, distributed to the people, and that one makes the people not to be hardworking. In fact, it creates them to be a beggar nation. So we said, please, we have to stop this. Those 4 issues were part of our big problems that we wanted the government to sort out. Today, I have seen some of the things that the code is saying about Saba Saba. And one of the things is security. Now, this is, and Mutegi, I'm a former military man, so I understand some of the things that are happening here. Security is the business of state. State that does not take care of security then has a problem, But therefore, being its business, in Kenya you have got 6 wings of security arms. 6. And one of them is the armed forces. Then you have the Kenya police. Then you have got the foresters. Then you have got the KWS. And you have got fellows called not the GSU, but the National Youth Service. Now, of all these people, each one of them has got an intelligence department for them to be able to collect intelligentsia, what is happening where, right? So that the 6 arms can be able to come together and say, look, there is something happening this and that area, can we tackle it?
So you think that is legitimate?
That is the legitimate. That is the
today.
legitimate path to talk about security, right? But you cannot make security, therefore, a public issue because you are either chasing away or revealing secrets, right? Nevertheless, a politician can be able to express disappointment or fear or suspicion or reservation if there is something wrong about security. Like what is happening in Mpeketoni, nobody will be happy about it. Or Hindi, or Witu, or Tana River. Nobody will be happy about it. And so what people will be asking themselves is this: what is happening to our security arms? And remember, you may not be able to cover every inch of your nation as a state. Nevertheless, the people themselves have got a responsibility. Because the state belongs to all of us. The state does not belong to the soldier. The state does not belong to CORD. It does not belong to Jubilee. Neither does the state belong to the president. They are representatives of the people, and therefore our agents, prefects about how our state should be run. And so what I've been saying is this: if the people in Witu, Mpeketoni, and Lamu, and Idi, and anywhere else in this country know that there is going to be some security disruption, they should come out and report it, right? Because the police will not be every inch. The GSU are not going to be every inch. We have already posted 1,000 GSUs and policemen around Mpeketoni. So what is happening there? Something must be dreadfully wrong, and that which is wrong should be rectified by the
So do you think that the rally today has a legitimate interest in asking those questions?
First of all, yes. A political rally is meant by the opposition, and this is the difference again I want to show the people. The opposition in every country is supposed to be pushing government on various issues. Then government is supposed to be managing and controlling the push, so that, because each one of them has got a representative role, right? The state represents all. The opposition wants to get into the management of state, and therefore the push of the opposition and the management control by the government is what creates the popularity among the people. So the push actually assists both to rise in the minds of the people, so that people, whoever is represented by the opposition, sees that the opposition is working. And those that really support and follow the government can actually see the art, the state art, about how they are managing the push. And so that creates them. Now, the minute that the government is not managing the push, then the people start saying, hey, what is happening, bwana? Unaona hawa watu wafanyi kazi? Or the way the opposition pushes then creates them for the next election. And therefore, it is the management of this push that I think the government should be very, very keen about, so that they do not just give way to the push and the people will be saying, look, they are not working.
The main cause of this meeting today was that the demand for dialogue.
Yes.
Do you think the government was wrong or right in refusing or not acceding to dialogue?
My first interaction with the request about dialogue is when the president said, yes, on the National Day, yeah, come, let us talk. Let us talk. And you see, that is supposed to be the position that a state takes. Because there must be continuous dialogue. It doesn't even have to be in the press conference or announced in public rallies about dialogue. The opposition and the government are supposed to be talking about the state. In fact, I have said this, that whoever later on decided that there should not be dialogue was wrong. After the president said, let us have that dialogue, bring it on the table and we shall talk. Because what are we fearing? So now, at that point, then all the advisors and those around the kitchen, boiling and cooking issues about the state, should have said, yes, let us have this dialogue on A, B, and C. What is the agenda? And they will put the agenda on the table and they discuss it. Now, therefore, at that point, it's okay. When the government said, no, we don't even see the need of this dialogue, and the reason, I think, was this, that if you are asking for dialogue, then why are you making the dialogue to be the political point that you are going to go to the rallies? That is what I think the government is asking. Come for dialogue, but don't make it the people's business. Dialogue is about the managers of state and the opposition, which I think is correct that Raila continues to push for. Today's meeting, in fact, is supposed to identify the issues that are supposed to be brought to the dialogue table. And yesterday when I was talking, I think on radio, Citizen Radio, I said this. Mr. President has got huge magnanimity. And this huge magnanimity is caused by the authority that has been placed on him. He can be able to walk through the procession lane, the procession road, walk through there, because the meeting at Uhuru Park is actually confined for Kenyans, not, I think, called. Uhuru is a Kenyan. So let the president walk through the procession lane to Uhuru Park to see what his people are doing. And when he is there, I believe that he's going to be given opportunity to say hello to the people. Let him not talk about what he has as state. Let him sit down and hear his people talk. And it is from there he will know whether they have got weighty issues that can be brought to the dialogue. And I believe the president can do that.
We have some feedback from the viewers.
Yes.
And Kirigo is looking at them. Tell us, Kirigo, what are the people saying about this discussion we have?
All right, quite a number of SMSs coming in, those promoting peace. And there's someone who says it is greatly sad that we the lay Kenyans, that's Wanjiko, are tools or specimens for our leaders' political vanishing. Citizens, let's love and respect each other. Then there's someone who says, after the meeting, today we keep peace in our country, we move forward. And there's someone who says, let's forget about Saba Saba and what it's associated with. Let's make this about peacemaking. That's Mama Charlene from Eldoret. And then there's someone who says, actually Apollo Mure in Eldoret, who says, Mzenjero, you're evoking us nostalgic memories of one unselfish and steadfast. May the good Lord grant you more years of posterity to emulate. So those are some of the SMSs we're getting, Mutegi Njau, and I'll ask our viewers if you have any questions, just send them to 22422 and I'll fill them to Mutegi Njau and Mr. Njeru Kathangu. Back to you, Mutegi.
So you can see the viewers feel that we need peace.
Peace.
Peace is what we need.
Yes.
So do you think this meeting today will be peaceful?
Yes.
And that will all regenerate to Thagari?
It will be peaceful. You know, I have been, remember Mutegi, I have come through with these people and I understand them, I know them, you know. And one of the things is that there is what the tongue says emotionally. And I think what has been said in the past, for example, hatutaongea after Saba Saba. You know, hatutaongea after Saba Saba was said by somebody. We must talk between now and Saba Saba. There is no miracle in these things. You cannot actually block your mind because repeating it so many times psychologically blocks your brain not to think about meetings after Saba Saba. You know, and when you block your brain as a politician, then you are actually negative. Don't ever be. You must keep your brain open, your mind open. So the Saba Saba should be the beginning this year of an evaluation and dialoguing process between the code and the government, because this is the day that you are going to be discussing issues. Nevertheless, each one of them must appreciate two things. There is a very big difference between national debate, code debating with the Jubilee, you know, where people will see the winner, but we will not be able to make decisions as of now. But we shall see that so signed is the one that is winning this debate. There is a difference between that one and competition that is going to be saying we are going to enter State House. There is a very big difference. So one is about the state management. And in the state management, each one of them and each one of us is involved because the country must be peaceful for it to develop. The country must be peaceful for it to be united. The country must be peaceful for it to discover and pioneer for the future generations. But if you're going to keep people thinking about war, then that one creates now the disjoining point where nobody thinks about peace. In fact, Mutegi, let me say that I was very disappointed, extremely disappointed, when I saw people moving from Naivasha, a lot of people in drones moving from Nairobi to the rural areas, some of them moving from Mombasa to the rural areas, because they think today there is going to be bloodbath. You know, according to me, every leader should be able to identify that as a negative aspect of our politics. For people to remain united, you do not threaten them with violence, you know. And so I will be asking again the opposition ranks and the government ranks to remember that you should not provoke any side. The opposition should not provoke government because government can retaliate. And government should not provoke the opposition because the opposition can still react. According to me, is that we must hold this day because we have allowed this rally to continue with the issues that are going to be brought. Let us listen keenly to them and address them after this meeting, because I think that is also possible. We have got Kenyans. Kenyans get excited. Most of them have not been able to go outing. You know, not Jamhuri, but Uhuru Park has been used by families every Saturday and Sunday to bring the children out to relaxation. If we abused Uhuru Park, then what you're actually saying is the children that will be seeing you doing these things, either throwing stones or fighting, then will be threatened from now into their future about Uhuru Park. where they have used for relaxation, comfort, and picnicking. You know, I think let us treat it as a holy ground also, and remember that Kenya is in the Federation of East Africa. Kenya is actually number one today in the region from Nigeria to East Africa. And we are saying we can be able to create in the next generation a powerful nation. But you don't insult it at this hour because you disrupt that process.
But why are you calling it disruption? And you have sent there will be peace.
No, I'm saying let there not be emotions, you know?
There must be emotions.
There cannot be emotions if they are not provoked.
If you follow the previous meetings, which they have been holding throughout the places they have been emotive.
You see, I remember, Mutegi, when we said that our elections had been rigged in 1992.
Yes.
You know, Kenneth Matiba and myself and what have you, all of us said, let us go to court. In fact, at some point we announced that we were going to go to State House, you know, and I was sent to map out. I went out looking at the State House Road, all the Finda roads to State House and so forth. And I went. At some point, some policemen encountered me and asked me, Katang, what are you doing? And I say, look, you are not in charge of roads, you are in charge of security. And I have come to inspect the roads that will be going to State House the day after tomorrow, you know, because we think we want to install Kenneth Matiba, you know. And at that point, of course, the police were very annoyed about it. But, you know, looking at it today, I think it was very good, because that is the time that Daniel Moi started thinking very positively about the opposition. He didn't want people to march to State House. And so everything was cool. And after our meeting at Uhuru Park, we went home coolly. I see it happening today, that if there is no provocation, there is nobody that is going to disrupt peace in this country.
But do you
and
think
provocation, what I'm saying, Mutegi, is this. You could have one or two elements, either within government and within the contrary in Uhuru Park, right? And I'm saying that some of the mischief that we see, you know, a policeman could, for example, whip somebody, you know, and there could be reason for whipping. But I'm saying it is good to restrain ourselves because we know what is at hand.
Do you think the sentiments that are being expressed against the Jubilee government and those of 1990, that the day you wanted to walk to State House, is the situations comparable?
Yeah, they are not comparable.
Are they comparable?
They are not
Uhuru's presidency and Daniel Moi's presidency?
No, they are not comparable. They are not comparable because of two things. That Daniel Moi from 1982 and created himself into a very serious despot, you know? And therefore, people were suffering oppression in this country, denial and deprivation, actually including elimination, you know. So that has not projected itself in this regime yet. Nevertheless, what people have been saying is this, people from my ranks, our groups, because I belong also to the opposition, you know, proudly so, is this, that both Ruto and Uhuru are creatures of Daniel Arap Moi,
Yes.
you know, and because they are, they could be having that fiber, that character, some little chemistry about Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi. And we are saying it is important as a society that we tell them that although they may be having that, they can cleanse themselves so that they serve us, not as Daniel Moi did, but as they, now because they're in charge of the statecraft, have been socialized to do. And I want also to add this thing. I remember Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, and William Ruto were together organizing KANU. In fact, they were brought together, the three of them, by Daniel Moi, to organize KANU so that KANU becomes a big, strong national movement. These three people, kumbe, they can sit together and instead of thinking about the party now, they will be thinking about the country. And that is my call today. Raila Odinga, Uhuru Kenyatta, and William Ruto. What is so difficult in you sitting down to discuss about how to make this country great, you know? Because look, you may want to enter State House. There is only one door to State House for only one character, called the president. From 1960 up to now, we have only had four 4 presidents, you know. So we are celebrating 4 presidents in 50 many years. So the question is, even if we fought all of us to be presidents, how many of us will be?
Okay. Let us get feedback from Kirigo Ngarwa.
Yeah.
What are the viewers saying?
The interview, and you know, many are giving praise to Mr. Kathangu. We are the peacemakers, at the same time destroyers. I pray that peace takes its counsel. This is takes its course. This is Samuel from industrial area. Then someone says, thank you, Mr. Kathangu. The grievances aired and not taken seriously by the government. That's why they think violence will erupt, because they have read dissatisfaction in people's faces. Then someone has a question for Mr. Kathangu. This is Simon here in Nairobi. He asks, where have you been all these years not celebrating Saba Saba, and today you're here commenting about Code and Saba Saba? Do you think you have missed a point? And like I said, Mr. Njao, quite a number of SMSs coming in. There's Pastor Khalif Ndemo in Nairobi who says, this is a wise man that both government and opposition must listen to. Please call Uhuru and Raila and ask them to watch Citizen TV. Then there's Jero in Voi who says, Kenya is bigger than the 3 individuals looking for power through the back door. Let's go to work and keep peace. Then Anonymous, Mtumishi, you're a leader and your ways cannot be washed away. I'm looking for... Samson from Naivasha says, thank you, Honorable Kathangu, for making it clear how Saba Saba started. This is Samson from Naivasha. So those are some of the SMSs we're getting on our line, 22422. If you are still in the house or you're watching this interview and you want to say something, kindly send us a text, 22422. Back to you, Mutagi.
So what is the...
Where have I been?
Where have you been? Why have you not been commemorating Saba Saba?
Where have I been?
Yes.
Actually, I'm commemorating Saba Saba because we are the people. We are the people, and we thought that Saba Saba was not a private property, and that every Saba Saba witnesses a new generation into the leadership of any republic. Those that were not 18 years last year are 18 years today. And those 18 years are now qualified to partake in the leadership of this nation. It is for them to embrace the Saba Saba. Actually, those propagating Saba Saba today, first and foremost, what they should have done over the years, they should have taken it as a program to show the youth what Saba Saba is. They should not have waited until the young people think that Saba Saba means a war between, or a fight between CORD and Jubilee, because that is the way it is being displayed today. It's a sacred day. And where have I been, Mutegi? It is that when so many mouths are talking, I repeat, when so many mouths are talking, sometimes even the most sensible of them may not be heard. And according to me, it is all well that people like Charles Rubia are silent. People like Matiba are silent. People like Koigu Amwere are silent. Mashengo Machofi are silent. Because it appears to me that crowns are actually talking. Nobody is talking to the other in a sensible manner. People are shouting at each other. And when you shout, it becomes very difficult to make sense. And so we have left them to shout. Maybe when it is required that we can be able to talk, we can come back and talk. But we are present, serving our nation, and making sure that those around us understand and appreciate what patriotism really means. We may not be able to be all in Parliament. We may not be able to be all in the MCA and county arrangement. We may not fit in the parastatals, etc., etc. But we are contributing wherever for the greatness and posterity of our republic.
Jubilee people, imagine, including Senator Kidiki and
Yes.
Senator Murkomen,
Yes.
their view is that Raila wants to use this opportunity to ascend to power. That
Yeah.
is not interested. It's not about the people. It's about Raila.
Yeah,
Is
yeah.
that your view?
Yeah. The Kindiki's view, and I respect him as a very beautiful lawyer, you know, a man, one of the scholars in this country. You know, Malcolm, I know him also. But I also want to tell them that every time they face the cameras and they face the radio and they even go to public rallies, they must be very careful about what they say. Because what they say is interpreted to mean they are actually the agents of the Jubilee in this argument, right? And that argument can actually be able to kill a potential in a young man like Kindiki, who I think has got a whole future in the mountain region, a whole future in this country, and can be able to do well. What I think is this. Kindiki has been with me at the Center for Multi-Party Democracy, where we have been asking him to come and offer guidance on legal processes. And I think he's a very intelligent man. Mulkomen, I have met him in debates, and I also think he's a very, very, very intelligent man. I want them to use that intelligence to mobilize members of the opposition and those members of the Jubilee to sit down and talk peace about this country. But when you accuse, you know, Mutegi, no human being wants to be criticized. No human being, even the one that you know called the Pope, or the one you call Dalai Lama, or the one you call Mahatma Gandhi, when you criticize them, they react, you know. So if you criticize people without good foundation, good facts, then they react by accelerating what it is. Because look, you can even tell the people what they want to do by giving them an idea. What Kindiki is saying is actually giving Raila an idea if he didn't have it, you know. And what Jubilee is doing now appears to me like it can actually provoke the opposition to slightly bigger height, because after all, they are the ones giving them ideas about what they didn't know, you know. So give the opposition their time to digest the issues. Don't push them to do things that actually they did not think about. I don't think Raila was with me many years ago, from 1980s. Baka sasa bado yuko. Let me tell you a small little thing, and I think people are going to share it. Baraka Muluka, about 2 days ago, was actually talking about how today's rally is going to be. And he was likening it to to a cowboy in the United States, some place, watu wa kuchunga ng'ombe. No. And this man took his horse and went to a certain inn and tied his horse outside there and got in. And he said, look, give me a drink. So he was given a drink, you know, and double whiskey. So he took it, and when he finished, he went out and found that his horse was not there. And he came back to the counter and he said, listen, you fellows, very annoyed and with very high tone. Listen, you fellows, I give you the next 20 minutes, and if that horse is not back here, I will do exactly what I did in Chicago 20 years ago. And the man said, no, give me another double. He was given another double. And he started sipping it. After about 10 minutes,
the horse was back.
Somebody whispered and said, well, your horse is back. Man, we don't want to see what you did in Chicago. Yeah. You know, so
what's the story?
So when the man was walking out, the barman asked him, excuse me, sir, you know, I didn't know this thing about Chicago. What is it that happened? And the man said, man, I had a lot of trouble. I walked home. So we have walked home so many times after these things, and I believe people are going to walk home peacefully without any problem.
So are you going to Urupa?
I may pass through there because everybody is going. Pass through there and see what is happening. I haven't been invited. I am not sure whether I can fit in. And so if I think I won't fit in, I'll pass by. But I still want to repeat and say this meeting can be used by every person, whoever is a politician. And personally, I think it will be very good to have my president pass through there and say hi, and things will be done.
Okay, thank you very much,
Mr.
Mutumishi Jero Kathangu. That's all we have time for. Keep watching Power Breakfast Show.
Thank you. Thank you, Mutegi.